We're about to talk about the environment. Waste management changes to producer responsibility are coming from the province, which puts more emphasis on corporations being made responsible for recycling. Sounds like a great idea, and what does that mean for us?
It's a good question. I wish I could answer it. I don't think anybody knows at this point. The province has committed to converting over to that producer responsibility for some of our single-use plastics and items like that, recyclable material. So it's a good step. How that means and what that means and how that rolls out, who's going to pick up? Are we still picking it up, or is they going to be responsible to pick it up? Will there be a deposit, when you go to buy this product in the future to help pay for that? Will it drive up the cost of that product? We're not there yet. So, we're trying to, this is a great direction. Municipalities have, well, not just municipalities, but I think the whole country has pushed for this for a long, long time. So, we're in favor of it. We'll see how it rolls out. I think it's a good step to reducing, in our landfills. We're just going to have to see how, some of the parameters around it roll out and what that means for municipalities. It's one of those unknowns, how it's going to affect us. And all I can tell you is our waste pickup contract that we've just renewed has gone up about 20%. Some municipalities have seen a 40% increase. So, these are some of the struggles the things that we struggle with. So any kind of relief, through a producer responsibility will be more than welcome to try to, how do we keep this material out of our landfill sites, and how do we keep our costs under control as we move forward? So
if costs are up 20%, does the city put that out to tender every time and it's still up 20%?
Yep. Well, it's a multi-year contract, right? It's a big commitment for our contractor. Miller Waste did it the last time, it's a big contract, so they have to buy trucks and they have to invest. So it's not a 1 year, but yeah, it goes out for that whole RFP process every bunch of years, and we've just renewed it for another, I think, 7 years. 7 years moving forward with flexibility, so that we can, if things change in the middle, we wrote that right into the contract this year, that as things change that we don't know and they get the same thing, we'll discuss, figure out how it all works from there. But status quo moving forward for now, that's what we're looking at in the future.
So the city, just signed a new multi-year agreement, and those costs, why have they gone up more in some municipalities? You said double that in some.
Yeah, it's just we've, our staff have sort of budgeted, they had a budget coming up they had to plan for in 2020. Our contract runs with the existing contractor till September of next year, so it won't have a huge effect on our 2020 budget. But, we were budgeting anywhere from a 20 to 40% increase based on what other municipalities' contracts that were coming up. We were able to get, in that 20% range, which is still a lot above cost of living, but things are changing, costs are going up with a lot of different services, and this is one of them. So we have to find ways to mitigate that. But why ours went up a little bit less than others, I can't tell you the exact details of why. We're just happy that it did, and if we can maintain that level of service, moving forward, and possibly down the road, if those costs continue to escalate, we're going to have to look at, twice weekly or every 2 week pickup, or figuring out a different way to how do we do this and keep it affordable for our residents. So, well, right now we're good.
What about banning single-use plastics? Why don't we do that at the city level?
We've got a report actually coming up shortly to council, which, we asked them to look into it, banning single-use plastics and straws and, water bottles and such like that. I think the recommendation coming forward is for a voluntarily ban of these materials in our community. It's a hard thing to enforce without the province on board. How do you put police on your borders you can't bring that straw into our municipality, so we can put it out there, and I think if we do education and we start with a voluntary ban and ask people to get on board with it, and then transitioning businesses, absolutely, and transitioning over to that in such and such a year this is going to be banned, so let's start working toward it now. To just come out, we have to be careful. We can't put bylaws in place that we can't enforce. A Sobeys is a corporate industry, or a Loblaws, and to say that you can't do this in the Kawartha Lakes it's tough right now. There's no municipality in Ontario that's gone out and done it on its own. Once the province goes in that direction, then the municipalities will get on board. But you know what? I think there's ways to go about that. We're going to have to let people sort of ease their way into that. It's coming. I think it's coming. What we should be doing, in my opinion, is do that voluntary ban, and then our municipal buildings and structures should be a ban completely. Like, let's lead by example. Let's start with that. And if a contractor or a caterer, is dealing with one of our facilities, here's our rules. You voluntary to our businesses, but as a municipality, let's jump right out front and let's take that bold step and try and make a bit of difference to keep some stuff out of our landfills.
So an education component would probably be in order then.
Would be huge. Yeah, it would be a huge part of that. I mean, it's just getting the word out, and I think you'll find, in my opinion, most people know we need to do something. And it's great that these municipalities are declaring climate emergencies and and everything else, but they've got nothing to back it up. To me, let's do that when we've got, when we're in a position to put some tough action in place. You don't declare an emergency and then do nothing. We've got some things we can ease into. Most of our residents understand that we need to do something. This has to change. And I think if we put out education, we put a process in front of them of how we can roll this out, I think a lot of people will get on board with it. Organic waste is the same way. It's something that we need to start looking at doing. It's hard for a rural municipality, but there are voluntary ways that we can do that, whether it's composting or whether it's different things. And if we put a plan out for people, we've got a pretty active community that way that cares a lot about our landfills and our environment, and I honestly think they get on board with the right education.
How has mattress recycling saved the city money or landfill space? Or
I wouldn't say it saved us money. It saved us landfill space, which in turn saves us money. But there's a cost to recycling the mattresses. So I've got a stat here I can share with you. Since we started this program, about 3,500 mattresses we've diverted from our landfill site. That's a lot of mattresses. You line up 3,500 mattresses, right? I mean, they're not small items. So
is that why they're a priority, because of the size of them?
Yeah, they take up space, right? And we have a company that comes in and takes these mattresses apart and they recycle the different aspects of it. But there's a bit of a cost to that. But there's also a savings in having to expand our landfill site in the future. A couple others we're doing is the construction and demolition waste. We've got a recycling program in that. We've so far diverted about 40 tons of construction waste. So these little programs all add up to less material going into our landfill site. Habitat, local businesses, Habitat for Humanity, 6 tons of reusable items have been donated to Habitat for Humanity rather than going into the landfill site. So, these are all small things we can do to make that work.